The colony's infirmary was quiet except for the low hum of machines and the distant sounds of alarms from outside. The planet had been at war for years and the damage was everywhere. Craters scarred the land and buildings lay in ruins. Inside the infirmary, injured aliens were brought in one after another. Some were small, some large, but all had been hurt in the fighting. The medics worked quickly, but even with all their skill there were limits. Some could be saved. Some could not. In the far corner of the room, a large creature lay on a metal slab. Its body was broken in ways the medics had never seen before. Scales were torn, claws bent, and one of its eyes was swollen shut. Its breathing was shallow, each breath a struggle. The medics had tried to fix what they could, but the creature's wounds were too severe. The medical AI scanned it and calculated the odds. The result was clear: it would not survive. The head medic, a tall alien with pale blue skin, shook his head. "It's beyond saving," he said quietly. "No matter what we do, it won't make it." The others nodded. Their tentacles brushed over the creature as they worked, applying salves and stitching where possible, but it was clear they were just going through motions. There was no hope left. The creature let out a low groan, a sound full of pain and confusion. Its large golden eyes, though dim, turned toward the humans entering the room. Humans were rare on this colony. Most aliens did not understand them. They were small, fragile, and weak compared to the rest of the species here. The medics whispered among themselves, glancing at the human child who had just walked through the door. The child looked no older than 10 cycles, small and unarmed, yet curious. They stepped forward, their eyes fixed on the injured creature. No one expected the human to do anything. No one thought it could help. But the child moved with calm determination. They knelt beside the creature, careful not to touch the worst of its injuries. Their small hands hovered for a moment, then rested gently on its arm. "Stay with me, partner," they whispered softly. The sound was quiet, barely more than a breath, but it seemed to reach the creature. Its ears twitched, and its chest rose slightly higher as if it were trying to listen. The medics paused. Nothing like this had ever happened before. No one had ever seen a human affect an alien in this way. The creature's eye opened slightly. It looked at the child, confusion in its gaze. It had never known humans up close. They were fragile, yes, but somehow there was a calm energy about this one. The child's voice was soft but firm. There was no fear, no hesitation, only patience. The creature tried to move, but its muscles were weak. It let out a small, pained groan and sank back onto the slab. The child did not flinch. They stayed close, humming softly, speaking in a rhythm that seemed to soothe the injured being. The medics whispered nervously among themselves. "Why is it reacting like that?" one asked. "It should be dying," another said. The AI repeated its calculations. Probability of survival, 0. The medics shook their heads. Logic said it was impossible. Yet somehow the creature seemed calmer than before. Its breathing, while still shallow, was steadier. Its claws relaxed slightly, and its head turned a little toward the human. Hours passed. The child did not leave. They stayed beside the creature, speaking softly, offering small sips of water, adjusting blankets, and making sure nothing touched its wounds roughly. The medics continued their work elsewhere but kept glancing over, curious and confused. Something unusual was happening. The creature, which should have been slipping away, was still alive. Its eyes occasionally opened wider, focusing on the human. Its breathing, though faint, had a rhythm. Outside, the sun began to set, casting red and gold light across the infirmary. The other patients were cared for, machines beeped in regular patterns, and the medics grew tired. Yet the child remained. They whispered again, softly, "Stay with me, partner." The creature twitched slightly. It was a small movement, but it was the first sign of real life. It had been abandoned by all who were supposed to save it. It had been declared beyond hope. And yet here, in the presence of a tiny human, it lingered, not dead, not gone, but alive enough to hear those words. The medics finally stopped talking. They simply watched. Something about this human, this small creature, was different. Logic, medicine, and science all said the alien was lost. But the child's quiet determination seemed to matter more. The creature was not moving fully. It was still weak. But for the first time in hours, it seemed to want to stay. It turned its golden eye fully toward the child, and in that look was something the medics could not measure: recognition, connection, hope. The colony's infirmary had seen many things. Battles, injuries, and deaths were common. But no one had ever witnessed this. A human child, small and fragile, facing what everyone said was impossible. And against all odds, the abandoned survivor, broken and bleeding, chose to stay alive, at least a little longer, for the tiny being who had knelt beside it and whispered, "Stay with me, partner." The infirmary was quieter now. The machines beeped steadily and most of the injured aliens had been moved to recovery rooms. The large creature still lay in the corner, barely moving, its golden eyes half closed. The alien medics walked past it, murmuring to each other. All their tools and medicines had been tried. Logic said nothing more could help. The creature was supposed to die. Then the child moved closer. Humans were small and light-footed, almost fragile compared to the alien beings around them. Yet there was something different about this one. The child walked slowly, carefully, eyes fixed on the injured creature. Their hands were empty, but their face held determination. The medics whispered among themselves, unsure why a human would come near such a dangerous and broken alien. The child knelt down beside the creature again. They looked at its scales, torn and cracked, at its bent claws, at the swollen eye. They did not look scared. They did not back away. Instead, they reached out gently, brushing a hand across the creature's massive arm. "It's okay," the child said softly. "I'm here. You're not alone. Stay with me, partner." The words were quiet, almost a whisper, but somehow the creature heard them. Its chest rose slightly as if the effort to breathe was easier. The alien medics stopped in their tracks. They had never seen this before. Humans were small, fragile, and usually ignored by most aliens. They could not fight. They could not heal. Yet here was one, alone and unarmed, affecting a creature that even the most advanced machines had failed to save. One of the medics leaned forward, curiosity in its wide, green eyes. "Why is it responding?" it asked quietly. The child did not answer. They simply sat beside the creature, speaking in soft, gentle tones. Sometimes they hummed a tune that sounded strange to alien ears, a melody of warmth and calm. Sometimes they whispered words the medics could not understand. But the creature seemed to recognize the sound. Its ears twitched, its breathing grew steadier, and its tail, which had been limp, gave a small, uncertain flick. The child offered a small cup of water. The creature sniffed it cautiously. With a gentle hand, the human helped it drink. The medics watched, unable to believe what they were seeing. No one had ever helped an alien like this before, not with machines, not with chemicals, not with any technology. But somehow, a simple human touch, a soft voice and patience were making a difference. Hours passed. The child never left. They adjusted blankets to keep the creature warm, soothed it with quiet words and encouraged it to breathe. Each time the creature groaned or twitched in pain, the child's voice remained calm. "You're stronger than you think. You can do this. Stay with me, partner." The creature's eye opened wider this time. It seemed to focus on the child, as if it understood that these small, gentle gestures mattered more than any machine or medicine. The alien medics gathered near the edge of the room. Some were in shock. Some were confused. Their technology and knowledge had failed, yet this human who seemed so weak, was making progress where all else had stopped. The child's actions had no logic in their calculations. There was no formula, no chemical reaction, no mechanical fix. Yet the creature's strength, however small, was returning. Slowly, steadily it began to respond to the human. Outside the infirmary the colony skies were dimming. The sun was low and the red-orange light fell across the room. Shadows stretched across the walls, and the machines hummed a steady rhythm. The medics continued their work on other patients but kept looking back. Every small twitch of the creature's claws or tail was a miracle in their eyes. Each breath it took was a testament to the human child's care. At one point the creature moved its head slightly. It leaned into the child's touch. The child smiled softly, speaking again, "Good. That's it. You're doing it. Stay with me." The medics whispered among themselves, unable to comprehend how such a small human could inspire life in something so large, so broken, and so far from survival. The night grew darker but the child stayed. Their voice, soft and steady, became a rhythm for the creature. Slowly it lifted its arms slightly. Slowly it twitched its tail. Slowly, it showed signs of life the medics had thought impossible. For the first time the creature seemed to understand that someone cared for it. Not a machine, not a chemical, not a healer, just this small, determined human. By the end of the cycle the creature was not fully healed. Its wounds were still raw and it could not stand. But it had moved, it had breathed, it had responded. The medics whispered that they had never seen such resilience. The human child had introduced something no machine or formula could create: hope. And for the creature lying in the infirmary, abandoned and declared beyond saving, that hope was enough to make it fight for life, one slow breath at a time. The child rested a hand on the creature's arm and whispered, "We're partners. You stay with me and we'll get through this." The creature's eye flicked open, a small but clear sign that it had heard. And in that moment the alien medics realized something they could not explain. Humans, small and fragile as they were, had a power they did not understand, a power that could awaken life where none seemed left. The days passed slowly in the infirmary. The injured creature lay in the same corner, its large body still weak and trembling. Its golden eyes were open more often now, following the small human child wherever they moved. The medics continued their work on other patients, but they kept glancing back at the creature. Every small movement it made seemed impossible. Every twitch of its tail or shift of its claw surprised them. They whispered to each other, saying it must be a miracle. Yet the child sat quietly beside the creature, calm and patient as if nothing could go wrong. The child spoke softly, "You don't have to hurry. Just stay with me. That's enough for now." The creature seemed to understand. It didn't try to stand or move too fast. It only breathed slowly as if listening. The child gently lifted one of its large claws and held it in their small hands. The creature flinched at first, pain still sharp in its broken limbs, but it didn't pull away. Slowly, it let the child's hands rest against it. The alien medics were astonished. No human had ever shown such patience with a wounded alien. Most would panic, cry, or run away. Most would try to fix the creature quickly or leave it alone. But this child did nothing of the sort. They simply stayed, day after day, offering comfort with a quiet voice, a gentle hand, and small acts of care. It was not technology. It was not medicine. It was something different. Something powerful. The child sang quietly sometimes, humming a song with soft tones that the alien ears could barely hear. It was not music in the alien sense, but there was something soothing in it. The creature's breathing slowed as it listened. Its muscles, which had been stiff and broken, started to relax. The medics watched in silence, unsure if it was real or just their imagination. Water and food were offered carefully. The creature's stomach had been empty for a long time, and eating was painful. The child cut food into tiny pieces and placed them near the creature's mouth. At first it only sniffed. Then, slowly, it nibbled. The human praised it softly. "Good. That's it. You're doing well." The creature made a low, rumbling sound, almost like a growl of agreement. It was the first time it had made a sound of pleasure since arriving at the infirmary. Night came and the infirmary grew quiet. The other patients slept and the medics rested. But the child stayed. They brushed the creature's fur and cleaned its wounds gently, never rushing. They whispered stories of faraway places, of stars and rivers, of forests the child had seen in books. The creature listened, eyes half closed, sometimes lifting its head as if it recognized the words. Slowly it began to trust that this small human would not leave. Slowly it began to want to stay alive. Over time the creature tried small movements. A leg lifted slightly, then dropped. A tail twitched. A claw flexed. Each time the child encouraged it, never forcing anything. "That's okay. You're strong. Take your time. Stay with me, partner." The words became a rhythm, a pattern the creature learned to follow. Slowly the impossible was happening. The creature's body, which had seemed broken beyond repair, was learning to move again. The medics were baffled. Their machines, formulas, and medicines had failed. The creature should have been lost. But somehow the child's patience, determination, and gentle care were working where nothing else could. They whispered among themselves, unsure how to describe what they were seeing. One said quietly, "It's not healing, it's responding. Responding to the human." Another shook its head. "We've never seen this. How can a human have this effect?" The child stayed beside the creature for hours, speaking softly, rubbing its back, letting it rest on a warm blanket. Occasionally the creature would make small movements. A flick of the tail, a shift of the head, a blink of its eye. Each time the child smiled, whispered words of encouragement, and waited patiently. There was no rush. There was no fear. There was only time, care, and trust. By the end of the day the creature had made progress. It could lift its head fully, follow the child's movements with its eyes, and even try a weak step forward when supported. Its breathing was stronger. Its golden eyes seemed brighter, filled with recognition and trust. The child had taught it to believe in life again, slowly, patiently, step by step. The alien medics watched from a distance, quietly amazed. They had always measured strength with machines and medicine. They had always assumed logic was enough. But this small human, fragile and unarmed, had something they could not measure: patience, empathy, and unwavering determination. Something that could heal where technology failed. Something that could make even a broken creature fight to live. The child placed a hand on the creature's head and whispered once more, "We're partners. We'll get through this together. The creature leaned into the touch, a small but clear sign that it had understood. And in that quiet infirmary, under the dim lights and the watchful eyes of alien medics, the impossible was happening. Life was returning not from science or machines, but from a human heart that refused to give up. The days turned into cycles, and the infirmary had grown used to the small human sitting beside the creature. Its golden eyes now followed every movement of the child, tracking even the smallest gestures. The large alien, once declared beyond saving, was beginning to show real signs of strength. Its breathing had grown deeper, its limbs moved with more control, and the once dull eyes now gleamed with life. The medics could hardly believe it. Machines had calculated zero probability of survival, medicines had failed, and yet here it was, alive and improving. They whispered among themselves, unsure how to explain what they were seeing. The child had done nothing remarkable by technology, nothing extraordinary by alien standards. There were no complicated instruments, no advanced procedures, no formulas. Only a human and their quiet care. The child continued as before, gentle and patient. Each day they helped the creature practice small movements. First it learned to lift a claw a little higher. Then it tried turning its head without help. Each success brought a soft whisper of praise. Good. That's it. You're stronger than you think. Slowly the creature began to stretch its broken limbs, testing their strength without fear. Food had become easier for the creature to eat. The child had prepared soft meals and offered them carefully. At first it had refused most of it, still weak and in pain. But with encouragement, it began to eat more, its body drawing strength from the nutrition. Each bite brought a quiet rumble of satisfaction from deep within its chest. The child laughed softly, a sound full of warmth. See? You can do it. Stay with me. The alien medics began to notice subtle changes. The creature's wounds were healing faster than expected. Its muscles, once stiff and useless, were regaining tone. Its breathing was steady, almost normal. The medics measured vital signs again and again, each reading defying their expectations. It was impossible. Logic could not explain this. Machines and medicines could not account for such recovery. Yet it was happening. The child never pushed too hard. They understood that patience was more powerful than force. Some cycles the creature could barely lift a limb. Other cycles it could stand with support. Each time it succeeded, the child was there to encourage it, whispering the same words over and over. Stay with me, partner. You're safe. You're strong. The repetition, the calm presence, the unwavering belief in the creature's survival, it worked. Sometimes the creature made mistakes. A leg would slip, a claw would hit the floor, and it would growl softly in frustration. Each time the child comforted it. It's okay. You're learning. You're doing fine. Stay with me. Slowly, frustration turned into patience. Slowly, fear turned into trust. Slowly, weakness turned into strength. The medics started to ask questions, trying to understand. What is this human doing? One whispered. How can they heal a creature that even the most advanced AI cannot save? Another shook its head. It's not healing, it said. It's responding. The human's presence is changing it. They recorded data, scanned vital signs, and checked for any hidden factors. But there was nothing. Only the human, only care, only patience. By the end of the third cycle, the creature could sit up without help. Its eyes were alert, scanning the room, noticing everything. It could lift its head fully and even try short movements forward, guided by the child. The child clapped softly. Yes, that's it. You're doing amazing. Stay with me, partner. The creature responded with a low rumble, almost like a laugh, a sound full of life and connection. The alien medics were astounded. They had never seen anything like this. They had treated thousands of injured creatures, and never had one defied death so completely. And never had they seen a human, so small and weak, bring life back in this way. Machines could not explain it. Medicines could not explain it. Only human heart and determination could. The child noticed the medics watching and smiled softly. It's okay, they said. You don't need machines. You just need patience. They returned to the creature, gently stroking its scales and rubbing its claws. The creature leaned into the touch, muscles still trembling but stronger than before. It had begun to trust completely. As night fell, the infirmary glowed with soft lights. The creature rested on the blankets, breathing steadily, no longer in agony. Its wounds were still visible, but they were healing. Its movements, while slow, were precise and controlled. Its eyes, once dim, now reflected the warm light of the room. And always beside it, the human child remained, whispering, "We're partners. Stay with me." The medics finally admitted what they had seen. Humans were not fragile. Humans were not weak. They were unpredictable, capable of things beyond logic or measurement. They could heal not just with tools or medicine but with care, patience, and a heart willing to stay. The creature had survived, and it had thrived because one small human refused to give up. The child smiled down at the creature, brushing a paw gently. "We've come a long way," they whispered. The creature nudged them back, a soft rumble of agreement. It was not fully healed, not yet. But it was alive, stronger, fighting. And it had learned, in its own way, that the small human beside it was more powerful than any machine, more important than any medicine, and more loyal than anyone it had ever known. In the quiet infirmary, under dim lights and the watchful eyes of astonished medics, the impossible had happened. Life had returned where death had been expected. Recovery had begun where logic said it could not. And the child, small and human, had shown that care, patience, and determination could overcome even the harshest odds. By the next cycle, the infirmary was filled with a different energy. The creature, once declared beyond saving, was now strong enough to sit fully upright without help. Its golden eyes were bright and clear, reflecting curiosity and trust. Its limbs, once stiff and broken, moved freely, and its claws were steady and strong again. The medics had never seen anything like it. They measured vital signs repeatedly, scanned muscles, and checked wounds, yet the results were better than any prediction. Every reading defied logic. The human child sat beside the creature as always, speaking softly. "Good morning, partner. Ready to try a little more?" The creature lifted its massive head and let out a soft rumble in reply. It had learned to trust this tiny human completely. It followed every gentle gesture, every whispered word. The child guided it through small exercises, helping it stretch its muscles and regain full control. Slowly, the creature moved to stand with support. The medics watched, astonished, their instruments unable to measure the human effect. The recovery continued at an extraordinary pace. In just a few cycles, the creature could stand on its own, moving around the blankets and mats of the infirmary. Its golden eyes scanned the room, no longer dull or clouded, but lively and aware. The child clapped their small hands in joy. "Yes, that's it. You're doing amazing. Stay with me, partner." The creature responded with a low, satisfied rumble and leaned its head into the child's touch. The alien medics gathered around, whispering urgently. "It's impossible," one said. "We calculated 0 probability. Yet here it is, fully moving again." Another shook its head. "It's not medicine. It's not machines. This human is something else." It changed the creature. They could not deny it. The small human, weak by alien standards, had healed a creature that even the most advanced technology could not save. The child smiled at the medics and shrugged. "I didn't do anything special. I just stayed with them. They needed someone to believe they could live." The medics exchanged glances, realizing that this simple act, something they had never thought powerful, was more effective than all their tools combined. The humans were different, unpredictable, capable of empathy and patience that could surpass any machine. The creature moved closer to the child, brushing its head against their shoulder. The child laughed softly and rubbed behind its ear. "See? We make a good team, don't we?" The medic stepped back, speechless. They had studied humans for decades, but nothing had prepared them for this. Logic, probability, and biology had all failed to predict such results. It was not strength alone that mattered. It was connection, trust, care, humanity. News of the recovery spread quickly through the colony. Other aliens came to see the creature and the child. They observed the bond between them and were amazed at how the small human could control the creature's fear and pain without threats or force. Slowly, the colony began to realize that humans were something extraordinary. Fragile, yes, small, yes, but capable of empathy, courage, and influence that no alien technology could match. The creature now stood fully, towering over the child in size but not in control. It let the child guide it, but it followed willingly, trusting completely. No longer in pain, no longer weak, it had become whole again. The child whispered, "We've done it. We stayed together. We survived." The creature rumbled in agreement, a sound full of life and loyalty. The medics, who had once declared it beyond saving, now approached with respect. They examined the creature and nodded quietly. "We were wrong," one admitted. "We thought survival was impossible. But this human has shown us a new way to understand life." Another added, "Perhaps strength is not only in power or technology. Perhaps it is also in patience, care, and heart." The child stood looking at the creature and smiled. "You're strong now. You can do anything. But we'll always be partners." The creature lowered its head and nudged the child gently, a sign of complete trust and understanding. The bond they had formed was not just survival, it was friendship, partnership, and something more profound than any machine or medicine could create. From that day forward, the aliens in the colony began to see humans differently. They were no longer fragile observers. They were not weak or insignificant. They were unpredictable, capable of courage, compassion, and resilience that could change the course of life itself. The small human child had done what technology and logic could not. They had healed a broken creature, restored life where there was none, and taught the colony a lesson in humanity. The creature and the child moved together through the infirmary, side by side, partners in every sense. Machines could measure wounds, medicines could heal bones, but only a human heart could inspire life, hope, and trust so completely. The colony watched in awe, finally understanding what many had doubted for centuries: humans were extraordinary. And as the sun set over the damaged world, casting warm light into the infirmary, the creature rumbled a soft sound of contentment, leaning against the child. The human whispered again, "We're partners. Always." The medics stood quietly, witnessing something they could not explain but would never forget. Life had returned, and with it, a new understanding of the power of humanity.